Victoria is a movie shot in a single take about a young Spanish woman recently moved to Berlin, Germany, who, during a party, is asked by three friendly men to join them as they hit the town. Her wild night of partying turns potentially deadly when it is revealed that her friends might be up to something much more dangerous than just simply drinking and shooting the shit. Now, anyone who knows me knows I am a gigantic fan of the one-shot feature film. You know, those films which are filmed in one long continuous take, either by one camera or maybe even multiple cameras, like in the case of Time Code, where the screen is split up into quarters and the shots are shown simultaneously. And of course, there are films that give the impression of being filmed in one long continuous take, like for example Alfred Hitchcock's Rope, and of course more recently Birdman. Rope is especially noteworthy because it was the very first film to ever try to attempt this. Like, it just goes to show you how ahead of his time Alfred Hitchcock was. Like, he was experimenting with this technique already in the 40s, and then in the 50s he was already experimenting with 3D cinematography with his film Dial M for Murder. I really cherish these types of films because I have an immense respect for the hard work, the detail, and the concentration needed from everyone to pull off a stunt like this. Like, everyone from the actors, to the cinematographer, to the boom operator, to the director. So it's no wonder that there are not many of these types of films that exist. And unfortunately, most of them are really hard to track down. Like, the only ones I could find and I could watch besides Victoria is of course the very well known Russian Ark, and I have been lucky enough to catch it at the film festival in my town, Fish and Cat. Russian Ark is one of my absolute favorite films of all time. It is a masterpiece in my opinion, but the gigantic difference between something like that and something like Victoria is that Russian Ark first and foremost is an art film, and second, it was a gigantic production. 4,500 people worked on that film. It was insane. Many of them were extras. There are scenes in the movie, especially more towards the end, when you can literally see like hundreds of people walking around all over the place in unison. And you know, it feels a little bit show-offy. It feels a little bit like the filmmakers were saying, hey, look at us, look at what we can do, look at how much stuff we can cram into this single one long take. And that's completely understandable. They had the money for it. It's a very slow, it's a very slick, it's a very elegant film. It's very allegorical, it's a period piece. We are constantly being taken through these different historical periods. That's a whole other experience. This, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. Hands down, this is a thriller. This film doesn't take its sweet time in presenting you with different set pieces. This is a life and death situation that's presented to us here. It's a race against time. It's a very visceral experience. Once the shit hits the fan, the seemingly lighthearted film turns into a relentless monster. Basically turns into an action movie. Like, there's a lot of running around, a lot of driving around, a lot of getting in and out of cars, a lot of getting in and out of apartment buildings. And what's really impressive about that being filmed in one long continuous take is just how immersive it makes the whole thing feel. This was a film I couldn't take my eyes off. Mostly because the story was so riveting, sure, but also because I was constantly on the lookout for possible goofs, possible mistakes. Stuff like that in films is inevitable, but especially for a production like this, where the filmmakers really don't have the luxury to polish their film, really don't have that many attempts at their disposal to nail the film before they run out of money or before they run out of time, you'll be quite surprised to learn that this film has considerably a lot less mistakes than your average film. I think the reason this is considered to be the technical achievement as well as the actor's achievement that it is precisely because of the improvisation they managed to pull off between all of them. Like this, the work they pulled off here is absolutely masterful. There isn't a single second in this chaotic film in which you ever lose track of someone, in which you ever lose track of what's going on, or in which you get the sense that you don't really know where everybody is. And you never get the sense that they ever lose track of each other either. It's an insane choreography that also manages to never feel robotic. This film is basically flawless. There was only one problem I had with it, and that has to do with some of the music. Now keep in mind the music in this film, most of it is non-diegetic, which means that it's like classic movie music. It's mood music. It's not coming from any source from within the film. It's meant to describe the mood. I think the music they did choose would have worked better if this was a standard film, if this was your classic jump cutty film. But since this is trying to give you this very realistic experience, the music was sometimes taking me out of it. Like, some of the music does work, the diegetic music does work, especially in the beginning when she is in the club. We hear this very bassy, very loud, very ominous standard club music. That sets the tone perfectly. It really gives you this sense that there's danger lurking around, you know what I mean? If they had kept it like that all throughout the film, I think it would have worked. Like, actually have music describe the mood, but have it come from some source from within the film, from some source from within the story. The only other criticism I heard addressed towards it was that the plot was maybe a little bit implausible. And I might just partially agree with that. Maybe character motivations do change a little bit quickly, but you'd be surprised. Some people are nuts, you know what I mean? But you can't say that this plot is implausible because something like this would happen and it wouldn't take place in this amount of time. The film is living proof of that if something like this would happen, it would take place in this amount of time, in real time. So not only do I recommend it, I think it's an absolute must-see. This film is amazing. It's one of the best films of the last couple of years. Watch it now. And of course, thanks for watching my review. As always, I will see you later with other reviews. Until then, take care folks, and goodbye.